each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail.
Improvise. Mysterious.
It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.
Welcome to the December 28th, 5:03 p.m. live show. I'm your host, the Galactic Historian Andrew Bartzis, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Eleanor, Lydia, Bane, the Galactic Goddess, and I am joined by my mentorship group once again to have at the end of the year masterful Q&A. There will be no call-ins this show. There will be no one asking, what is my purpose? There will be no one asking, am I on the right path? These are going to be powerful questions by powerful beings who have spent over a year practicing, working, a lifetime in their own dedication. I want to introduce Eleanor here to have an opportunity to give everyone a quick introduction to who she is.
Hi everyone out there, I'm Eleanor. I work with Andrew, CEO of Galactic Historian, Universal Citizens Media, and a new company that we've created with one of our mentorship students, Christopher Natra, Universal Citizens Healing Systems and Universal Citizens Retreats. We have had, I would say, the best year certainly of my life. We've had an outstanding year. Not to say that it was without its trials and tribulations, but the revelations, the healing, the growth, the wisdom and commitment that has come through this year with these students, each and every one of them is a treasure to us. It's been a joy, and it's been a huge learning process to work with each and every one of our mentorship students, because truly the best teacher is the one who is the eternal student. So with that, we welcome everyone to our show. We are very excited to bring forth these questions. And with that, Andrew, you can announce the first
So one thing I want to say is we spent a year working with everyone in this mentorship group that culminated into a medicine journey where we all got together from all walks of life, all parts of the world, and we were able to share a powerful journey in which we were able to take the teachings to a whole new level. I want to say bravo to everyone in the mentorship group. May your questions show your genius and allow the other audience members to see a whole new way to ask questions. Everyone out there, once again, there will be no call-ins for this show. Stop at andrewbartzis.com and you'll be able to find when the new show production system for 2019 is going to be coming. All right, we're going to go to our first mentorship-y student who wants to ask a genius question. We're going to start with Chris Natra.
Hello, Andrew. Hello, Eleanor.
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Very happy to have this opportunity to not only ask a few questions, but just express my gratitude for the mentorship program. Wow. Over the last year, I can just say the changes in myself have been dramatic. The changes that people have observed in me have been, the commenting has been happening nonstop. So I am very grateful for all of the internal growth I'm having, all the emotional, all the spiritual, just on so many levels. All the friendships I've made with the other mentorship students has been something very, very special. I just wanted to express that before I said anything else.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you.
So my first question has to do with something called the Mandela Effect. Now, this is something that I've spoken with you, Andrew, about privately. Many people have heard of the Mandela Effect, but they're not sure exactly what it is and what it means now, especially in this time of the great Dreamtime Awakening. So just to give some background, the Mandela Effect was named after a group of people that had a remembering of Nelson Mandela, who had died in prison in the late 80s. In reality, he had not died in prison, or at least in this timeline. And they were very confused. And there were like large groups of people that had a specific remembering of that. And for myself, this Mandela Effect really hit me beginning in the year 2013. At the time, I was reading my 3-year-old son, The Berenstain Bears, that I was reading to him every night. And I took one book off the shelf one night, and instead of saying Berenstain Bears, it was spelled Berenstain Bears. And I thought, well, what's wrong with this? And then I looked at all the other books. I had about 20 of the books, and they were all spelled the same way. And I thought, what's going on? I just couldn't understand it. I kind of put that to the side for a while. But then I came to learn that there are tens of thousands of these Mandela effects. And just to give another example real quick, when we did the Sacred Egyptian tour in September of this year, which was awesome, there was one point when we visited the Cairo Museum, and we went into the area where the King Tut exhibit was, and there was the famous King Tut headdress. And on his headdress, I always remember there being just a cobra. But now there is a cobra and a vulture. And it really struck me as odd, and everyone else that was on the trip was saying the same thing. Everyone just remembered the cobra. They don't remember how a vulture got stuck there as well. But the vulture was always there. And even on the way to Egypt, I noticed that all the planes, the jet engines, were mounted far in front of the wing, which for me was very odd because I've been on hundreds of flights for my business since the late 90s, early 2000s, many times sitting over the wing, and I always distinctly remember the engine being under the wing, not way out in front of the wing. But now, as I've learned, since 1944, jet engines have always been mounted way out in the front of the wing. The Mandela Effect also affects lyrics to famous songs. Historical events have changed, such as the JFK assassination. Famous artwork has changed. The human anatomy has changed, which is crazy. Our internal organs are now all up in our rib cage, such as our liver and our kidneys. I remember when our kidneys used to be in our lower back, not next to our lungs. Spelling of famous names have changed. Famous verses in the Bible have changed, such as one that I remember, the lion will lie down with the lamb, and now it says the wolf will lie down with the lamb. Now, science says that all of this Mandela Effect, is a mass misremembering of the facts. They also use the word confabulation. For example, the phrase magic mirror on the wall in Snow White, was it really always magic mirror on the wall as it is now, or was it really mirror, mirror on the wall, which is how I remember it? So with that kind of a background given, Andrew, can you explain what the Mandela Effect is?
Yes. Do you remember what I asked you during our last medicine journey? Would you ask me and I said to you?
Unfortunately, I don't remember the details. I know I do get a more concise answer every time I ask.
I said each and every time you ask what the answer of the Mandela Effect is, it will be a signature frequency moment of the now explanation of something that is dealing with aspects of memories and lights that are dealing with DNA that's incarnate in many dimensions, time streams, galaxies, and universes. Mandela Effect doesn't just affect here on Earth. It affects anyone that's in the DNA lineage and has the memories and lineage from the DNA as aspects of eras of history and time. So example, the JFK assassin, all of those potential alive beings, actually in alignment during the actual era in which Kennedy was assassinated, includes every blade of grass, every duck, every tree, anything that was a sentient incarnating being can have a memory and light of JFK if it came within 1 degree of separation of him, meaning JFK touched the tree, looked at the tree, walked past the tree, he flew over the tree. And you can imagine in JFK's lifetime, he flew over many millions of trees, places, and spaces, which made him highly interconnected to all that is, was, or ever will be. Now, the time travel wars alter all that is, was, or ever will be. And that puts technologically or spiritually conscious driven beings of time travel at odds with all that is, was, and ever will be. in their perspective and promotion of their way is the way of consciousness exploration. So you have a variety of beings who are continuously imprinting frequencies of time with their brand of evolution, their ideology and expression of how DNA does this, that, or whatever. And there are times beings such as Kennedy, Berenstain Bears, so on and so forth, have such a deep impact in DNA memories, not just of this world, but of other worlds. Imagine if you're a off-world being 10 trillion light years away from here, and all of a sudden you have this image of us human in a car that you've never seen before. It's stuff that doesn't make sense in any way, shape, or form, and all of a sudden you see half of his head blown off. That would terrify you, wouldn't it? Now imagine if 30% of your population had that vision. Do you think that whole population would be motivated to go find out what that is? Now, the Mandala Effect is how other beings bring erased memories back into time as an actual, let's just say, strategy of implementation of all their view of all that is, was, and ever will be. So you have a variety of beings that are following the natural order, the forced evolution order, and then you have other beings who are following truly the natural organic evolution of reality. And the true expression of the Mandala Effect is balancing the ancestral past and the ancestral future by the living beings of the now being the living algorithm of life, in which that living algorithm is continuously in the ever-present moment of now, which is in change and has the capacity, capability, and super capabilities of becoming preternatural awareness-based beings who can tap into their DNA of memories and make a manifestation in a reality that has no memory of it. We colloquially call this race amnesia. So all those things we forgot about Atlantis and Lemuria, they begin to bubble to the top until it makes a massive community of people like you and me and everyone in the mentorship group, and listening become a signature frequency match for the unknown to be made known once again as a mystical process that affects culture, the most basic level, like Berenstain Bears, Stouffer's this, or whatever other cultural pop icon that suddenly changed in the remembrance stream of each individual being who was a part of an uncollective, in which a group of other beings are trying to remain us as an uncollective, even though we're already collective in a future expression. Our linear time is going forward at such a pace, the uncollective cannot see itself as an uncollective anymore. They can only see themselves as a race of apex individuals in hierarchical order, racing for a metaphorical finish line that has non-competitional processes behind it. The end of hierarchical order is why the Mandela Effect is here, for there shall be no more secrets. All memories will come to the surface, bubble as each and every individual has the burning blood desire to discover what the Mandala effect is for them. Yours began, went to the Berenstain Bears, until such a moment you began asking me question, answer, and drove you to a next level in which you want to bring your own individual brand of the Mandala Effect as a speech to an international audience. You are a Mandela Effect to millions of other beings that have already forgotten Chris, who are about to suddenly remember him.
You really went deeper with that answer than I've ever heard you. That's great.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to say too, like at my office, I have this weekly staff meeting every Monday, and I've turned it into Mandela Mondays, and I'll bring forth like a new Mandela Effect. And this past Thanksgiving, the one that hit everybody the hardest had to do with stuffing for Thanksgiving. I asked everyone if they remembered that brand called Stouffer's Stovetop Stuffing, which I remember it clearly, seeing all the commercials and everything. And then I told them that in this reality, Stouffer's stovetop stuffing never existed. It was always just called craft stovetop stuffing. And that blew a lot of people's minds. And I've also learned that when it comes to these Mandela effects, there's no wrong answer. For example, with the JFK assassination, I always remember there being 4 people in the car. There was the driver, the Secret Service guy in the front, JFK in the back, and Jackie sitting next to him. Now there's 6 people in the car, and the 2 extra people are the governor of Texas and his wife. And I remember them being in a separate limo behind, but now the governor of Texas gets shot and so forth. And so when I discovered this, I went to my father and I said, Dad, like, do you remember this about the JFK assassination? And he's like, yes, of course. There were always 6 people in the car. The governor of Texas always got shot. And I was like, are you crazy? Like you're a Mandela effect to me. So basically there's no wrong answer, because as we remember it is as we remember it. But it's enough so that we begin, like you said, to ask the questions and to get that burning desire to find out what's going on. What is this reality really all about? So thank you for expanding more on this.
You're welcome. And I'm at a little addendum, mind twist, mind screw a little bit. Now, there are beings of domination and control that understand an awakening of memories is coming. And what they're trying to do is create fake or semi-false Mandela effects through actual changing of advertising to create a disbelief factor that the Mandela effect can actually be there, as well as promoting actual changes in, let's say, Stouffer's. For example, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm pretty sure Stouffer's world headquarters was right there in Cleveland, Ohio. And then they moved right after they were bought out by Kraft. And that's when all of their names changed, except for the specific Stouffer's brands that sold the most. Now, I know this because I had a bunch of friends who were in my high school that their fathers worked at Stouffer's, were very, very high-end management in the system there. And I, too, remember Stouffer's stovetop stuffing. My mother was Greek, never used it, but I would go to many other families' homes who made their stuffing their way with Stouffer's stovetop stuffing, and I remember distinctly the taste. And I remember having conversations with my mother going, why can't we cook this? Why does it have to be done this way every year? Half the people don't like it, and it's always remained. Can we try something different? And there was one year she allowed me to do the stuffing with Stouffer's stovetop stuffing, and it became a hit in the family. Now, my family's not really big into the material that I do, and that's okay. That's not their thing. But this is still one of those conversations I can actually have with my mother about Stouffer's stovetop stuffing, because she can't find it anywhere in the stores that says Stouffer's. And in her mind, she believes Kraft just ended the brain and just continued just Kraft stuffing. That's what she thinks. And I go, you know what? We can agree to disagree, but there's a whole other world of people out there who think something different, just like you and me.
It's funny how you get them with the stuffing.
Get them with the stuffing, literally.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks a lot. We're going to move on to the next. Dave, are you there?
I'm here, and I remember Stouffer's. I was a Clevelandite there. I remember, yeah, that tasted good.
Exactly. And it was, headquarters was in Cleveland. I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, I'm sure it was right outside Cleveland, yeah, too.
Or something like that, yeah.
But I'd like to echo Chris's thoughts on the mentorship group, and that this has been, quite a journey, a mystical journey, which is, what I was looking for, and, turning the mystical into everyday. And I'd kind of like to continue the questioning along Mandela with the concept that you brought out early in 2018 of hub of interconnectivity.
Yes.
And as photonic beings of light in a hologram, how can we use hub of interconnectivity for this great co-creation?
Well, first it takes in an understanding of what the hub of interconnectivity is. That is when you get into a form of communion and union with your own I am self present in the ever present moment of now, that has access to the infinite stream of information and energy, and decides to use that infinite stream of energy to become connected with the I am self, interconnected with your seen and unseen world, in a form of interconnectivity with all that is, was, or ever will be, as a broadcast beacon for all other beings who do not have a hub of interconnectivity that is connected, interconnected, and in interconnectivity with all aspects of the universe, as a contribution and service and light to this era of light for all those evolving beings in the process of understanding all that is, was, or ever will be in this lifetime now, that is the great Dreamtime Awakening, where each individual will have an opportunity to understand their own individual source connection, interconnection, and interconnectivity, in which they too can become a broadcast energetic based frequency of interconnectivity to assist all beings discovering their own frequency, what self-illumination truly means.
And you can add other phenomena that you've discovered into that too, like the lighthouse of the universe or eye of the universe, heart of the galaxy too, can't you?
Sure. That is from a speech I gave in my 2016 Living the Mystical Life Daily live event, where I talked about the great mysteries of the universe that would be available to those who are on the journey to the stars and the beyond, who want to think at a bigger scale and understand that this great Dreamtime Awakening, they must think big, or they shall remain small upon this world, stuck in the ideological format of smallness, never truly understanding the largeness of their spirit, the capacity of their DNA to be simultaneously existing beings in tens of thousands of realms in equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order with all other versions of themselves in a form of interconnectivity, evolving every I am to its highest frequency of light.
And the DNA as a stream of light is a concept that really became more clear, but it's still hard to that you're solid here, but that DNA is everywhere.
Well, your DNA is duplicated in any brothers or sisters, mothers or fathers that you have, and any cousins, aunts, and uncles, forwards and backwards in time. So, how many pharaohs are out there? Guess.
Billion.
Billion. Off-world. And that goes for everyone listening out there. Your DNA is unique to you, but there are aspects that have been duplicated into other lineages who live on other worlds. And technically, they're your brothers and sisters if you were to look at it as a raw DNA line-to-line relationship. But in fact, they live in another time-space reality in which DNA, which is 80% memories from the original lineage creators, and the other lineage members who stayed in a lineage long enough to create new lineage memories, so that other souls born in other worlds would have memories of brothers and sisters in future, past, and present frequencies of time throughout time-space, if they were able to connect to their own self-illumination, inner mechanical light incarnation process.
Then what is the motivation of a walk-in? I know Martina has.
Oh, that's really cool. What is the motivation? There are certain souls, let's say, I'll use this as a metaphor. Two brothers and a sister are born. The sister is the youngest, and the first brother, the oldest, are at odds with each other. And the middle brother ends up being the odd man out in the family. Doesn't really connect to mom and dad, doesn't connect to brother and sister, and believes themselves to be in the wrong soul family. So can you reiterate your question so that this context is understood?
Yeah, like you said, you're 80% memories. I'm assuming that's what you're bringing with you as a walk-in, and you're going to tie into the other 20% soul family codes to.
Okay, so that middle brother reaches a point where they become influenced by, let's say, a unexpected thing in their blueprint, like a extremely potent suicide demon that functions at a college, high school, or university. And that middle brother goes down the path of drugs and alcohol and totally glows off the blueprint. And that brother decides, like, you know what? I do want to give back to this world. And part as the fetus in the blueprint plan was, if anything ever went wrong, I have another being in which I can call on who will step into all of my spiritual contracts and take over them from me and finish my spiritual contracts as a tithe and oath to each other of brotherhood and sisterhood in the spiritual realm, in which a lifetime got too strong, too potent to overcome, and they called upon the greatest of friends to come in and assist them to finish these processes through an advanced interconnectivity where the walk-in being walks in, the other soul walks out, has its full-on life review as if it were in that moment, but the walk-in takes over the heartbeats and all the spiritual contracts and move forward with a full forgetting of who the other being was, but a remembrance in memories of light. So the walk-in's purpose is to take all the memories of the light and understand what are attachments of reality and what are attachments of the unseen world. Oftentimes, walk-ins have a deeper unseen relation because there's an unseen world that's trying to directly manifest truly mystical experiences through the life and death and walk-in process. So there is an ever-present theme and bookshelf at all bookstores or Amazon that says, what is walk-in? Are you a walk-in? Because let's say 19 to 26% of our current population is a walk-in in one way, shape, or form. That's surface, subsurface, and astral, in total calculation of about 60 billion sentient beings who operate in our living daily incarnation grid.
Thank
Okay. Then the areas you'd like me to expand upon?
With that, I might invite Martina in. She and I have had conversations. Do you have anything for greater explanation, Martina?
Well, I do remember forgetting everything, and I still not remembering shit. So yes, let's do that. But apart from that, I do remember having a conversation with Andrew about it, and it was, in my case, it was a thing of being detected in dream time by the system of domination and control. Remember Andrew?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and this was actually what was triggering the walk-in and the walk-out situation. The interesting thing for me was that it wasn't a walk-in, walk-out immediately. There was a couple of years where I had both souls working, and which really added to very confused sort of, I wouldn't say childhood, but it was more like teenage time. But otherwise, it's pretty much what Andrew said. The walk-in takes over all the contracts and just works through those.
And it
Hold on. In your situation, Martina, because you had two souls in you, there were two conflicting prediction models about you. And this is why in my private session with you, I explained to you about a galactic communicator. This was the shell game. Which one's actually the galactic communicator? They'll never know until she does it.
Yes. But now we do.
Yes, exactly. Now then they're like, oh shit, we just dig something.
So it's to outsmart the archonic system that was controlling what do you call it? Rebirth?
Say that again, Rob, Dave.
So the walk-in is a thought construct to outthink the archonic immigration grid, so that powerful souls can actually get in without being detected.
It's a straight up con game on the Archon grid. Absolutely, yeah.
I've been conned.
No, you con them.
Oh,
On
shit, really?
Them. 100%. That's what the walk-ins are here to do.
It's a live show. Don't tell them, Andrew.
Doesn't matter. They can't erase you. That's the whole point of the walk-in. Once they make the identified manifestation and they've out-predicted the prediction, if they try to do anything to alter your history, they screw their own system. That's why walk-ins are here.
Right.
They're technically a fail-safe, so the system can never take over everything. Built in from the original 54 million year repetition process.
How does it get better than that?
If you were a walk-in during the first Lemurian era, because that confused the shit out of them. Because you were walking in from now. Imagine Martina today walking into a 7th density Lemurian body and talking to the entire Lemurian scientific community, saying, "I'm Martina from the future."
Yes,
But
I like that.
thought they would be time-traveling wars and uncreational events. That's what happened with walk-ins in the reverse order. We walked back there. The one that left you, do you know where it went?
Cool.
I've got to follow up on that. The time travel. How are time travel and hub of interconnectivity related?
Completely interlaced in all layers, because time is perception, and the hub of interconnectivity is an I am here moment of now perception that can't be duplicated in other frequencies of time that are a different I am. Only this I am can do it now as part of the great Dreamtime awakening.
And you can use I am thoughts to build that. I am whole, I am healthy, I am healed, as you build your I am presence here in the now. Correct?
You're making your first foundational bricks. Those are the conversation. But when you're building your mile-high fortification of the I am self, there are many wordsmith creations that add to that foundation, that take the trueness of your belief and make manifestation of the true etheric fortification of the self.
Get into the solidifying your wisdom and knowingness. That is your heart DNA.
So that particular process, solidifying your wisdom and knowingness, is where the I am understands, if I don't exercise daily my ability to be an I am, I will be an out of shape I am. And when some other apex predator tries to challenge this I am, I may be able to only fight him 10, 15 minutes or 4 or 5 days or 9 or 10 weeks. That it doesn't have a body and you do, and it'll be continuously testing the I am's awareness. Are you going to do anything about me today?
Well, that sounds like the story of Bruce Lee's final battle.
That's exactly right. It's a deeper understanding of what's going on there. So, Martina, do you know where your other self went?
No, not yet. Well, yeah, go ahead.
Are you curious?
Very. Are you gonna tell me?
I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
So that Martina that left went to the astral world, had her life review, and as an I am did not dissolve as a part of your Akashic record of I am teachers. It stayed in existence and was what transited backwards in time to about 11.5 million years ago, where the Atlanteans were battling the very first reptilians, and you were there telling the Atlanteans all the weaknesses of the reptilians' original race. And they took you as a unique source of information that was a paradox. And you lived about 65,000 years then, and then that I am became an ancient teacher spirit in your Akashic records.
Oh, that's so exciting. And it's so interesting you say that, because I've had a reptilian in my council of 12.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's been showing up, but I haven't really established proper communication yet, but he's been there for some time now. So that's probably the connection.
not all reptilian species are the David Icke bad guys.
No, he's not a bad guy.
I'm just saying to the rest of the audience out there.
Yeah. Okay.
Understand what is truth or propaganda, what is truth, and what is semi-truth. Now, there are dozens and dozens of races of reptilians that are good people, and then there are the ones that have the bad rap here. Okay? It will take heart space truth discernment to determine what type of frequency you're dealing with and a building of a friendship that's based in truth of trust.
Fabulous.
Yes. All right, Martina, do you have anything else you wanted to ask about walk-ins?
No, can't really think of anything. But I maybe ask my question. Shall I ask my question right away? Because I mean, first of all, I do want to say it's been an absolute honor and a really great exploration to work with the Galactic team, and also to make those amazing friends in the mentorship group. So I just want to say that too. And as you all know, I'm very much about expressing the multidimensionality in our physical biology, and I suppose that is part of my experience as a walk-in. And I've always been very interested in when you were talking about our experience as our 9 experiential bodies and the 7 rays of colors. So basically giving us giving the I am presence an experience of this world in 63 different ways, versus the majority of other beings which apparently only have like 3 ways of experience. And can you talk to that a little bit more, and what does it actually look like to have a 63 ways of experience versus a 3-way experience of seeing the world?
So we have a potential of 63 ways. It still
Yes.
takes consciousness that's really, really willing to drive the DNA instrument of experience to 2,000 miles an hour and break the Mach barrier, the conscious barrier.
That's where we're going. Well, that's what I'm going, at least.
Just superluminal thinking, which is your DNA birthright as a DNA lineage being.
Yes.
So you have the technology of superluminal thinking, meaning a younger soul can ride it at 200 miles an hour for 3 or 4 lifetimes, and then they're going to crash. Now, the description of the lower levels of experience. So a lot of times on the shows and the interviews, I say there's 3 colors of time experience or 5 colors of time. Currently in our world, we are a 7-color time experiencing world. The vast majority of worlds that are out there are 3-color or 2-color world. Now, a smaller percentage are 4, 5, and 6-color worlds, like the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, the so on and so forth. They're 4, 5, and 6-color worlds that can have multiple frequencies of individual time on the surface of the planet. Their worlds do not use the single Roman numeral time value. They can use dozens. And in fact, if a faction within the planet says they want to create a new time bubble, they can bring it up with the other light-producing factions out there to determine if the planet can divest itself in its current era of light to create more frequencies of time than it may be handling with the amount of people that are living on it. So you could have a variety of beings who come to a 7-color time world, but their DNA can still only experience 3 colors, but their world allows them to have layers of reality. We live in a uni-world here where all realities are layered on us. There are 2-color time experiencing beings right next to you, layered on top of you, aware of you and unaware of you. The rocks, the drywall, the blades of grass are life force energy of 2-color experiencing time. Now, a 3-color experiencing time might be something like a cricket or a clan of crickets that's actually 1 soul, or a hive of bees that may be 2 souls in 6,000 or 7,000 bees or 10,000, whatever. Or you have a school of fish that's 25,000 tuna, that's 50 or 100 souls. in a soul family, weaving their way through a frequency of time in which they are sharing a fetus in the womb blueprint process, in which the previous I am, if it were a two-color experiencing, went to two-color astral world and determined if it wants to elevate its consciousness into a 3, 4, or 5-color world. It will then go to the astral city that's soul family related to them in the North Pole Aurora Borealis and spend time there charting a course of what types of soul families it wants to work with when it transits to the South Pole, signaling to Earth Mother that it wants to enter the incarnation grid. There it'll spend a frequency in what's called Blue Road time, in which it comes into this fetus state and waits for a moment and when an egg or a sperm or a seed from like a tree or a plant, because seed is its own technology, egg and sperm is its own technology, it'll choose the right astral process for that and become an egg and sperm or seed-based being. Now, when it becomes an egg and sperm-based being, the mother and father create the portal of the lineage, and the being that's in the Blue Road astral time becomes the first spark, and that 9-month process is which the young, previously 2 and 3 color experiencing being learns to experience 7-color time as humans through their mother and father. This is the first imprint upon the fetus in the womb process. This is why it's so vital as practitioners of your own healing that you return to the fetus in the womb state so that you can once again get communal access to the growth of the blueprint in case we go off blueprint during whatever experiences that are coming up. Now that previous being that was now just the fetus becomes birthed. It forgets everything that it did in the South Pole or astral world as an infinite being who has access to the Earth Mother incarnation grid to plan with tens of trillions of beings spiritual contracts that become part of its blueprint moving forward, in which Earth and the natural and unnatural processes of this world will create true synchronicities, false synchronicities, temporary synchronicities that put you on multiple frequencies or timelines, because this is a 100% free world planet and a 100% free world galaxy and a 100% free world universe, which means that it is a true free-for-all. That means a system of domination control and exists. And in this free-for-all process, we learn to plan big and long. We are now at a point of evolution of this particular world where the previous systems of control, the apparatus of domination, can no longer predict what that previous 2-color time being was going to do in its infinite state of prediction and blueprint as it was born. The system gets to read your spiritual contracts that you're making with everyone else and makes a prediction of how effective you're going to do at it, and is going to put things in your way that are called karmas. Now, karmas are a repetition process that will usually have no illumination because the system wants to make sure that that blueprint or infinite fetus in the womb has to think much harder during that 9 months in which it has infinite access to all the physical beings in manifestation and the ones that will come in manifestation after its birth as a process of masterful manifestation of the greatest amount of light that this brain can be in its service and contribution in light to a master collective of beings who's still a current uncollective during the time of the spark's creation. This leads to the great forgetting and the living and the growing of beings in mass processes in which we create a new generation of beings who are now existing with race amnesia because the system has been selectively redacting certain aspects of history so there's not a common colloquial representation. Thus, why the Mandela Effect is a consequence and retribution for those that are manipulating the natural order.
That's a mouthful, Andrew.
It'll probably take a few listens to get.
Yes. I think so. Maybe just a quick question to all of that is what, just bring it back down to earth here, is what can we do as conscious beings on the way of, in our consciousness exploration to cultivate those 63 different ways of expression? And, what is it what would you suggest?
Lead a life path in which consciousness exploration is a protected, sacred rite, ritual, and legacy for your future selves, in which you are a discerned practitioner of discipline.
Okay.
By doing those things here in the now, you affirm and confirm to the unseen world you're ready for the next layer of responsibility. And the more responsibility to your own awareness you gain, and the awareness to the greater global impact your great work can have on millions of beings, creates something that is no longer smoking opium, but is a truth that my inner genius can spark forward at any moment in time, and I can wow this world with words or song or artwork or business or whatever it is I desire with such force and impact of the self. The world will look this way and buy this product and change.
Okay, so living as sovereign masters in the sacred neutral, being the hub of interconnectivity, having fun, joy, and actually, living,
Yes.
creating. Yes.
Yes. Willing to say, I'm going to use the system against itself. If it's advertising dollars that work, then that's what I'll use. If it's this business model, that business model, I will go and learn it as part of my inner martial arts and discipline to become a learned being and self-illuminated master. No longer needing external gurus, but still needing true, impeccable teachers in my reality, so I have peers.
Yes.
Then we are no longer an uncollective, but a collective of beings making a standing signature frequency and time, saying, we're choosing our genius moment to broadcast now. Who can get this and understand this transmission? You're all a signature frequency match if you can. Even at the slightest.
Fabulous.
Thank you, Martina. We're going to move on to
Thank you.
next one. Wow, we get some really fun questions. All right, let's move on to Jesse.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity to contribute. And as my colleagues have said, I really appreciate the mentorship, and it's been great getting to know everyone. My question touches on the 18th universe, and you've explained this to us on different occasions, but I think the audience would really appreciate your perspective on the 18th universe, those that are being ejected, and how it's benefiting our reality.
So in Galactic History series that I did with Lance White back in 2013 is where I began talking about this topic of another universe, another galaxy, and another universe being created. So you have two things, a series of processes going on. You have the Galactic Ascension Machine, which is creating the end of all the time travel wars, negative karma production, and taking the worst offenders who are choosing not to be a part of this universe and make intentional uncreational events. Those original perpetrators had their universal citizenship removed from them, and they were no longer allowed to be in our reality. Once that happened, the Galactic Ascension Machine was created and reduced what was considered an infinite karmic backlash to once again become a finite dharmic path to pure resolution of all of the experiences that were lost through timeline genocide processes through dozens of galaxies and that reached into other universes of expression. This created the initial place where they had to take the worst offenders of all the galaxies that created uncreational events and all the other universes that were affected by intentional beings of choice. They were all brought into a brand new galaxy that was not run by one single universal source. It was run by a council of galactic and universal sources who had intimate knowledge of the ways of these other beings, and they created a bubble of reality in which those initial deported beings from here that affected many other places, began an immigration of light and false light that wanted to continue this process of time travel resolution in a different way other than the Galactic Ascension machine, which created the 18th galaxy in our spiral, which currently had, at that time, had 17, and our universe, 17 universes. Our universe, which houses our galaxy, was the 17th universe. This 18th galaxy that was created by our 17th universe and created an interdimensional portal that opened a 18th universe also. So this is where some of the confusion goes. So the 18th galaxy in our universe created a hub portal that connected and interconnected the 17 previous universes and all their sub-galaxies to this new universe. That also means that anyone that wants to transverse from the previous 17 universes or sub-galaxies within them must had to go through the eye of the 18th universe to find the universal portal. So there's this mass immigration of light and false light from the 17 universes in our spiral of creation. They're now coming here to the Galactic Ascension machine, so they resolve their karma and end their citizenship with the previous 17 universes to become a sole citizen of the 18th galaxy, so they can then get access to the 18th universe, which is a whole new experience of light, completely separate than the previous 17 universes.
Now, for those that are being ejected, what benefit do you see on our time-space reality? Can we breathe a sigh of relief? Can you go into that?
Their impact and influence leapfrogging through time has been reduced to zero minus infinity. They no longer are relevant in the overall aggregate of DNA memories. What made them potent and powerful is they shared a lot of common memories with trillions upon trillions of worlds, which made them a signature frequency match to be false light teachers, leading people down a path of false creation in which to use the universal power of belief in your own process as your manifestation in your bubble of reality, in which they assembled billions and trillions of worlds that shared a common belief in which they could overthrow the universal prime creator of the 17 previous universes and all sub-sources within that, and overtake them.
Beautiful. Now, I don't know if you want to touch on this subject, but I'm going to throw it out there. A couple weeks back, you talked about how one of these beings increased our potentials individually and collectively, for both good and bad. Do you want to extrapolate on that?
All right, so there are times that a soul that has tens of billions of previous I ams living here on Earth and scores or hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands of other worlds decides that it wants to take the majority of its simultaneously existing frequencies, put them in various modes of consciousness travel, spiritual travel, technological travel, time travel, so on and so forth, and bring them into the Galactic Ascension machine to allow the universe, the galaxy that they're in, to create a series of high-scaled synchronicities that bring this being back to its original natural order within the Galactic Ascension machine to do a specific service and contribution in light during a specific moment in an entire era of light that will tip the scales of belief back to natural organic evolution. That's a mouthful too. That's probably one that'll go down in the classic Andrew lines.
No kidding. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so thank you, Jesse. Let's move on to the next. We have Laura from the Great British Isles.
Hi, everybody. I just want to reiterate what everyone else has said. It's been an absolute privilege working with and learning with Andrew and everybody on the group. And I would certainly say it changes the quality of every moment to moment living because of doing the course. And it's been a wonderful year of learning and fun. And I just say, if anybody gets the opportunity to do a medicine journey with Andrew and Eleanor, go do it, because that is the most profound experience I've ever had. It's the most wonderful, life-changing experience. So thank you, and thank all of you in the group for making this very special. Anyway, Andrew, can you go into the mechanics of our precognitive workforce, how it works and how we can best use them to help us on the great journey to dream the great dream of peace?
Wonderful question, Laura. Our precognitive workforce is us that has the capacity to understand I can create an infinite amount of conscious time travel needs that can go into the future, into the past, and prepare a resource of knowledge and information that is instantly call uponable as masterful manifestation of inspiration in the moment to outcreate anything that is a negative, dampening, sucking, draining frequency within the system of domination and control. A more deeper explanation, your I am precognitive workforce also is all of your other versions of self that are simultaneously existing, that have earned and learned and relearned the rights of awareness. That means if you're choosing to be a spiritually aware being, that all time space exists and that you're contemplating all aspects of it. There are frequencies out there that are not positive, some are negative, some are positive. And you, as this I am here now being, make a declaration in your frequency that I am a being of equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical, dreaming, I am breakaway DNA, light body civilization of one who has been here in this DNA skin suit this lifetime, who is now going to use my great work to make a great impact on those that I love, my family, my clan, my nation, my tribe, and my earth mother. And I'm choosing to do that at all the scales. That means I need a masterful precognitive workforce, which is my birthright and legacy to create as a natural, co-creative, evolutionary being who was a part of the great Dreamtime awakening, using my responsibility to have an impact on on the loves of my life, the themes and ideologies that I'm wishing to promote to others so that they can find their own self-illumination and be free from external gurus who are sending them down the path of false illumination. Our precognitive workforce is there waiting for us to be inspired to work with it, to think with it, to love with it, to be with it as part of our greater expression. For us to have the expression, we must have the experience. And for us to have the experience, we must put the time, effort, energy, and expression into our self-belief that it is a true force, that we can call upon our inner geniuses from many dimensions, time trees, galaxies, and universe to form a collective of us who are all part of this great Dreamtime awakening so we can free ourselves from the perception of limitation by the global narrative.
So in effect, do they work also as a hub of interconnectivity?
They are the apparatus of interconnectivity.
Okay. And have shamans of old always used their precognitive workforce?
Yes, they just used them in their era of light or their theme of time's wave. Every generation reinterprets the previous generation, the previous next generation interprets the next generation, and then there are a rebel few who stop reinterpreting and get back to the source of creation and look at that as their only interpretation. And that's where we understand we are all of our past, present, and future selves simultaneously existing, and there are versions of ourselves out there for equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order. I am being breakaway DNA civilizations of one who are also a signature frequency match to be with you, your precognitive workforce. And you are part of their precognitive workforce, forming a collective of the highest forms of your light soul teachers. All of the I Ams are a part of your great hall of Akashic records of all I Am presence, past, present, and future, who are a collective of equal co-creation, non-competition, dreaming I am being, manifest in your body.
So it wouldn't be treading on somebody's journey if you sent out your precognitive workforce to help them in a co-creational way.
They're always of a fine line where too much is too much. If the other being has no premonition, pre-organization, presence, or any form of eminence and understanding of what a precognitive workforce is, then no, you will be stepping on their journey. Unless it's an infant or a young child who hasn't formed what an I am is yet. And most children don't fully form the I am until puberty, when their thymus gland creates 300 new forms of chemicals that suddenly flood the body to create puberty itself, which solidifies the I am technology as a time-space equation.
So where would they send out their precognitive workforce from? What would be their source if they weren't I am aware?
So first thing first, you'd have a conversation with them where you are going to co-join your precognitive workforce to create a manifestation of synchronicities that helps each of the being co-create an aspect that brings some form of inner inspiration to get out of the rut that you're in, to do the healing of the sickness that you have. This is why healers become facilitators, so that they can co-join their precognitive workforce with the natural precognitive workforce of the person that is ill, who may not have any consciousness skills. And then they become the education facilitator, that if those I am beings want to become true conscious beings of choice, they must learn the process of self-illumination, which means pick up a book, take a class. There's an infinite amount of teachers out there in the great Dreamtime Awakening. Discover what's a signature frequency match for you and go out and evolve and create.
Yeah, it's an infinite tool, isn't it? We have at our disposal.
Yes, an apparatus of infinity.
Mm. Okay, thank you, Andrew.
All right, so let's move on to, I'm not sure if Morgan is able to talk. If you are, no, she's not. All right. So go ahead, yes?
Yes. Hi. Yeah, I'm so excited to ask you this question. So what I've been playing around with and trying to understand is that if we live in a placebo belief reality experience, how is it that you answer these questions with one answer if there are many truths for all of us listening?
I am a signature frequency teacher of the moment of now and the potential of now and the capacity of now to understand an infinite point of view on the journey to the unlimited point of view as a soul and expression. So every time you ask the question, you get a signature frequency match for the potential of this moment of now. That's why some answers remain similar, some go to the next level and the next level, because it is what is in potential of listening and creating memories that go into the 10,000 future generations.
So then in that vein, then you could give one answer to one person and a totally different answer to another person regarding the same question.
Correct.
And both are true.
Everything is true. In the placebo-based reality of the Akashic records of all that is, was, and ever will be, which is an amalgamation and an aggregation of everyone's perspective, life and death reviews in all frequencies of souls that have had a life and death review that's entered into the Akashic record as a totality of all data from past, present, and future as a living algorithm of the galactic and universal frequency, creating a celestial manifestation, holding an Akashic record that's a part of the soul commerce of the universe.
And so then when you answer questions on your show about the history, does that mean that the history that you're giving us, the galactic history that you're giving us, that perspective is true for all of us who are listening?
Everyone is a signature frequency match for the signature frequency teacher of the moment of now. So yes. When you understand the essence and mechanics and the apparatus of being a signature frequency teacher of the moment of now, then and will be. I am a past, present, and future simultaneously existing being in my knowingness of a base of awareness, using it as a conscious application of my choice to act, interact, and become a hub of interconnectivity, so all their beings have a signature frequency matched to the hub of interconnectivity, so that they can spread to all 97 versions, 97 degrees of separation of themselves and other simultaneously existing selves, the hub of interconnectivity. Is a free, natural, co-creative evolutionary gift in which they can choose to accept or deny in any way, shape, or form that they choose, pleasure, or deny.
So do we all have the capability of becoming and stepping into being the signature frequency teacher of the now?
Sure, when your level of belief has elevated to the next level of understanding of what your role in the galactic ascension machine is as a signature frequency teacher of the moment of now, who is a master of understanding individual synchronicities for individuals within your facilitation process.
Yeah, got it.
As a facilitator, which is what you are, a healer, thinker, unique being, your next level of awareness jump means your life is going to change. And the solidity that you've experienced before will not become rocky ground. It will become more and more solid, so solid that you'll be able to have multiple operating versions of yourselves as part of your precognitive network of understanding what your part in is, was, and ever will be is. A knowingness of profound expansion and purpose in great mysteries planned.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I want to thank everyone. You guys have been the first year's mentorship students. You guys rose to the top better than any cream separating. Let me tell you, each and every one of you, the level of expansion that I've seen in you, amazing. You know, I have tears in my eyes right now just from being able to feel this level of conversation, and for having the audience right now who's been starving for another live show to get this level of transmission through the hub of all of your interconnectivities. Thank you so much. I want to give special thanks to Martina, Morgan, Robert Brown, our producer, Laura Massey, Jesse Kyle, Dave Farrow, Chris Sinatra, and all those other people who weren't able to make it here today that are part of the Galactic Historian team and Universal Citizens. I want to thank everyone that's come and listened to the show. If you're interested in becoming a mentorship student in the year 2019, contact MPA at galactichistorian.com, or on the screen a little placard will pop up and it'll send you to the landing page where you can get all the information about becoming a 2019 mentorship student. I want to thank everyone at the Galactic Historian team, Eleanor, Sean, Ryan. I know you guys are out there. Rastafoot, Shay, everyone, Andre, who's done, Jennifer, that does all the videos, all the team members that support, Michael, my PA, that does all the sessions and bookings. I want to thank absolutely everyone for, if it wasn't for this masterful team of masterful manifestors coming together, we wouldn't be here in the now, sticking it to the system with raw information that you can choose to do whatever you please with in your great work that is going to make a great impact on this world. Thanks a lot, everyone. I'm going to see you in the next live show.
Thank you, Andrew. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Peace out.
Each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail.
Improvise. Mysterious.
It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.